Hello, welcome to another edition of the VOD Weekly News Recap. I am Glorious Haddijatou Njie. Good evening. Now let's look at the headlines. Gambia participates in OIC Foreign Minister Summit in Pakistan. GPU trains journalists on countering hate speech in elections. TRRC submits 25 amnesty applications to the government. APS International donates foodstuffs to the Christian Council. Gambia wins first leg against Chad. Adama Ceesay crowned Miss Environment Gambia 3.0. President Macky Sall outlined the 21st century major challenge on the 9th World Water Forum. Burkina Faso court resumes Sankara murder trial. ECOWAS reaches no agreement with Mali on transition and election date. Ex-Central African Republic, Militia Maxima Mukom, appears before ICC. Buhari condemns dynamic raid on police stations. China Eastern plane carrying 132 people crashes in Guangxi Mountains. Global oil prices jump again as EU considers Russia oil ban. US sends Patriot interceptors to Sudan to ease tension. Those were the headlines. Now let's look at the news in detail. The Chief Executive Officer of the Gambia OIC Secretariat, Mr. Yankuba Diba, took part in the 48th session of the Council of Foreign Ministers of the Organization of Islam Cooperation in Islamabad, Pakistan. CEO Diba was part of the high-level Gambian government delegations led by the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Honorable Mamadou Tangara, and other members of the delegation, including the Minister of Justice, Honorable Dauda Jallow, the Gambia Ambassador of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, and the OIC mission. His Excellency Omar Saleh and other senior officials from the Foreign Affairs Minister and the Gambia OIC Secretariat. The two-day summit officially commenced on Tuesday, 22nd March 2022, with the inaugural session chaired by the Prime Minister of Pakistan and His Excellency Imran Khan. The theme of the high-level discussion was Partnering for Unity, Justice and Development, and addressed current global issues such as the plight of the Palestinian and Kashmiri people, the conflict in Ukraine, Islamophobia, COVID-19, amongst other pressing peace and security issues affecting the Muslim Ummah. After the opening session, the Gambia, represented by the Minister of Justice, Honorable Dauda Jallow, chaired the meeting of the ad hoc Ministerial Committee on Accountability for the Human Rights Violation against the Rohingya. A state banquet was then held in honor of the delegation by the President of Pakistan. The Gambia Press Union, in collaboration with Bekanya Kafo, a non-governmental organization, organized a day-long training for journalists on countering hate speech in elections. The training was held at Baobab Hotel in Bijilo, where 25 participants from different media houses attended the training. Aissatou Keita, the Vice President of the GPU, gave the welcoming remarks by highlighting that the training was one of the many undertakings the Press Union is embarking on to build the capacity of journalists not only on hate speech, but also for journalists to report adequately and responsibly. Ms. Keita reiterates that as the country heads to the polls in April for the parliamentarian elections, it is important to raise the awareness of the participants on what constitutes hate speech and its consequences. Also, the social responsibilities of participants on fostering healthy discussions and tolerance in the democratic process, she said. She went further, saying that the project is part of UNDP project under its Low Valley Grant, which seeks to enhance young women and men as stakeholders in ensuring peaceful democratic process, and advocates for the prevention of violence and hate speech. Following Ms. Keita's speech, Mansour Job, Director of Legal and Investigations at the National Human Rights Commission said, hate speech is becoming on the rise in many parts of the world, and Gambia is not an exception. There has been so many strategies that the UN is trying to employ and urge states to adapt to effectively tackle and counter hate speech because of the consequences of it, he added. Going further, Job said journalists have a critical role to play as far as information sharing, dissemination is concerned, and that a series of hate speech has been noticed in the past and are documented by many human rights organizations in the Gambia. Most of the hate speech comes from political party supporters or sympathizers, he said. He, however, urged the participants to make the best use of the training to make sure people are well informed about what constitutes hate speech and how to counter it. Mr. Famara Jaone, the executive director of Bekanya, equally highlighted similar sentiments and employed on the participants to make the best use of the opportunity given to them. TRRC submits 25 amnesty applications to the government. Haddijatou Njie reports.
On March 16, the Amnesty Committee report was finally approved by 11 members of the TRRC before it was submitted to Gambia Justice Minister Dawda Jallow. These are recommendations, and the government will make its final decision in a white paper to be issued before the end of May, Jallow told Justice Info. Out of the 25 applications for amnesty, 11 were dismissed, 8 denied, 5 approved, while 1 granted immunity, according to the committee's report. The 11 dismissed applicants are either because they were not recommended for prosecution by the TRRC or were only banned from holding public office in the Commission's report. These include Army Mayor Wassa Kamara and Lieutenant Colonel Amadou Bojang, Anti-Narcotic Officer Ibrahima Drame, former Police Crime Management Coordinator Babakar Sow, Deputy Superintendent of Police Lamin Cham, former jungler Yusufa Sane, former Director of National Intelligence Agency NIA Lamin Bo Baji, and NIA members Basiru C, Omar Cham, Tijan Ba, and Harry Sambo. Amnesty applications from 8 people recommended for prosecutions were denied. These include former Vice President Dr. Haddijatou Njie Saidi, former Defense Minister Edward Singate, his brother Peter Singate, a former influential military captain, former junglers, a hit squad under the orders of former President Yahya Jammeh, Lieutenant Malik Jatta, Pa Usman Sane, and Omar Jallow, and former soldiers Babakar Njie and John Charles Mendy. 5 other applicants were recommended for amnesty: former number 2 of the 1994 military junta Sana Sabali, a soldier involved in 1995 torture of political detainees; Mayor Babakar Ba, junior soldiers implicated in November 11, 1994 executions, Babakar Mbub and Zakaria Dabo, and a lower-ranking soldier in the June 1995 murder of former Finance Minister Usman Koro Sise, Pa Aliu Gomez. An ex-soldier, Alaji Kanyi, who confessed to participation in the November 11, 1994 executions and in the murder of Koro Sise, apparently had an immunity deal with the Commission. The Commission has not publicly explained the rationale of its amnesty decision that the victim now call on government to disregard. Haddijatou Njie reporting for VOD.
Renowned International Money Transfer on Thursday presented 20 bags of rice, 25-liter bottle of oil, 2 crates of margarine butter, 10 bags of sugar, 5 bags of onions, and 2 boxes of tomato paste to the Gambia Christian Council. Khadijatou Baji at the APS said the donation is part of the activities the APS does and it is the second time that the company extends a helping hand to the council during their Lenten season.
Over the years as well, we have been contributing our token to other Christian organizations and also institutions in other avenues of development and support. Here today, we present to you our token of help, if you may want to call it, to say thank you to the Christian brothers for trusting us and also using our services over the years.
APS International Limited, Approved Services, is a company that provides money transfer and other microfinance services to Gambia and around the world. According to them, they said they have corporate responsibilities to support and connect with communities which they serve. Gambia wins first leg against Chad. Haddijatou Njie reports.
On Wednesday, the Scorpions beat Chad 1-0 in their first step towards reaching the 2023 AFCON competition in Côte d'Ivoire. A stylish goal was secured in the final 10 minutes from United Arab Emirates-based Steve Traoré, giving Gambia advantage against Chad in 2023 AFCON Parliamentarian Round qualifiers first leg in Cameroon. The Gambia made a spectacular Cup of Nations debut 2 months ago, beating Mauritania, Tunisia and Guinea before losing a last-8 clash to host Cameroon. Before tackling Chad, Belgium-born Gambia coach Tom warned his players to avoid becoming one tournament wonders.
For that opening goal, when we scored the 1-0, I was naturally satisfied, but it's not over. There was 5 minutes extra time and even more, and Chad did everything to equalize. So a coach can never be happy during the game. You can celebrate 90 minutes and lose the game. I like to be nervous 90 minutes and win the game. So sure, we can improve things, but I'm quite satisfied with the boys who came in. We had to make some tactical changes. We had not much time to train. And now tonight we're gonna fly to Casablanca.
We want to qualify for the 2023 and 2025 Africa Cup of Nations and the 2026 World Cup, said the coach who has guided the national team in Africa, Europe, Asia and the Caribbean. The second and deciding leg will be played in Agadir in Morocco on Tuesday, March 29, in the winning over the 2 legs proceeding to the qualifying proper of the Total Energies Africa Cup of Nations, Côte d'Ivoire 2023. Haddijatou Njie reporting for VOD.
The third edition of Miss Environment Gambia, organized by KS Entertainment, took place on the 19th of March at Caraba Beach Hotel, Jama Hall. Adama Sise, a grade 12 graduate from Ajisukai Senior Secondary School, recently emerged as winner of Miss Environment Gambia 2022 and taking home $25,000 as cash prize and 1-year fully funded project. The beauty pageant was designed to sensitize the public on issues regarding the environment. It is also part of broader efforts to strengthen capacity to be able to confront and be active participants in the global crusade to preserve and protect the environment.
The major problem that we have in the Gambia right now is our environment, whether we know it or not. So the best thing that any of us can do as a beauty queen is to come up with something that has to contribute a quota in solving the environmental problems that we have. Because we have a lot of health issues. And what we fail to understand that these health issues could be because of our environment.
At the ceremony, Kadi Samate, CEO of KS Entertainment, said that the event is to sensitize the public about the pollution of the environment and how dangerous it could be in one's life. She said that she believes the initiative will help create more awareness among young girls to jealously protect and preserve the country's remaining resources. Now let's look at the news across our borders. Delegates from all over the world gathered in Dakar to kickstart a 6-day World Water Forum under the theme Water Security for Peace and Development. During the opening of the forum, President Macky Sall welcomed the delegates with stating that despite the COVID-19 pandemic, Senegal has remained steadfast in its willingness and commitment to host the world community in Dakar. In order to place water at the heart of multilateralism and international policies, to build effective response mechanism to multi-phase crisis, and the construction of a resilient, prosperous, and stable post-COVID-19 world. Some of the numerous challenges mentioned at this year's World Water Forum in Dakar were poor water quality and a lack of financing. There is every reason to believe that if nothing is done, the situation will get worse and worse. Due in particular to strong demographic pressure, rapid urbanization, and polluting industrial activities, this 9th World Water Forum gives us the opportunity to sound the alarm on the gravity of the situation. The water issues remain at the heart of the international agenda, President Sall said. The Vice President from the Gambia, Dr. Haddijatou Njie, was also in attendance and addressed the 9th World Water Forum in Dakar. She stated that President Adama Barrow's government has plans in place to ensure access to quality water and sanitation for all and noted that water is a human rights issue and His Excellency is committed to provide all communities with water, which is essential for everyone. Coastal countries' leaders like Bissau Guinean President Embalo also stressed the particular fate of African countries highly dependent on the resources. Technology and the contribution of digital technology will not be enough. We must certainly innovate again, innovate always, pump, transfer, desalinate, recycle, and increase the amount of water available. But we also need to change our habits and behaviors, and only then will we be able to share water for people and water for nature, Louis Fortune stated. The Senegalese president received, during the opening ceremony, a report on the potential of groundwater from Andrea, the UNESCO Director General. Groundwater accounts for 99% of liquid fresh water on Earth, and it is an unsuspended resource. During the 6-day forum, world leaders looked for solutions to ensure that water would be accessible to all. Burkina Faso court resumes Sankara murder trial. Haddijatou Njie reports.
The trial for the October 1987 assassination of former President Sankara and his colleagues resumed on Tuesday after the Constitutional Council rejected a defense petition. In Oyega 2000 venue serving as court, it was time for the speeches for the defense. The lawyer assisting the former medical officer charged with forging Sankara's death certificate pleaded for acquittal. 2 other defendant lawyers also pleaded for their clients to be acquitted. Citing the 34 years time lapse between the trial and acts alleged against the accused, they put forward a statute of limitations and lack of witnesses. The Sankara trial was suspended in earlier March after the defense petitioned against the Constitutional Council, citing the council's approval for the military takeover by Colonel Damiba. The lawyers challenged the charges of crime against national security, asking for them to be dropped on the basis on an exception of constitutionality. However, the council rejected their petition on Friday. Haddijatou Njie reporting for VOD.
Goodluck Jonathan did not reach an agreement with the Malian junta on the duration of the transition and a date for elections, Malian authorities and Jonathan's delegation said. Since January, Mali has been under West African sanction after the junta coup in May 2021 and is said to have submitted a timetable for elections with a 36-month deadline for the transition. But according to a statement issued after Jonathan's departure, the proposal was not accepted by the West African mediator. The government said it had proposed a new deadline of 29 months, which the junta leader Colonel Asami Gota, in a last-ditch effort to reach a realistic compromise, has reduced to 24 months. But this new deadline, which the Malian authorities consider unavoidable, did not meet with the approval of the mediator and his delegation, who remained in their position, the government added. The last proposal made by the junta to the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, during the organization's last summit on the issue in early February in Accra, was a 4-year transition. The regional organization has heavily sanctioned in January the junta of Colonel Gota. Brought to the head of Mali by the first coup d'etat in August 2020, an enthroned president of the transition, following a second putsch in May 2021. These sanctions, closure of border with ECOWAS countries, embargo on trade and financial transactions, punish the military's plan to continue governing for several years and their unfulfilled commitment to organized elections in February 2022 that would have brought back civilians to lead the country. A technical committee of ECOWAS has proposed the organization of polls within 12 or 16 months with the help of independent electorate management authorities, according to a document that AFP had consulted. After the failure of talks with the junta, Mr. Jonathan reiterated that commitment of ECOWAS to facilitate an agreement for the restoration of constitutional order in Mali in a statement issued Sunday evening by the ECOWAS Commission. He reaffirmed his willingness to continue discussion with the Malian authorities in order to agree on an acceptable transition timetable, the statement said. Ex-Central African Republic militia Maxim Mukom appears before ICC. Njie reports.
A former Central African Republic military leader accused of war crimes and crimes against humanity appeared before the International Criminal Courts for the first time on Tuesday. Maxim Mukom, a one-time leader of the anti-Balaka armed group, appeared on the charges of war crimes and crimes against humanity allegedly committed in CAR in 2013 and 2014. Mukom, 43, was the leader of the self-proclaimed self-defense militia created in 2013 in reaction to the takeover of Bangui by the Salika, a coalition of armed groups mainly composed of Muslims opposed to former President Francois Bozize. Mukom, who was handed over by Chad to the ICC in The Hague on Monday, confirmed in French his identity and said he had been informed of the crimes of which he is accused. He is suspected of, among other things, murder, examination, deportation, or forcible transfer of people, imprisonment, torture, prosecution, cruel treatment, and mutilations. His lawyer said Mukom was mistreated during his transfer by the Chadian authorities, alleging he was fed only moldy breads and sardines, and that he had no bed and practically a chamber pot to relieve himself. So before ICC prosecutor Mr. Khan applauds Chad with vigor for its sufficient operations, maybe he would like to satisfy himself next time that Article 59 of the Rome Statute has been respected, said lawyer Nicholas Kaufman, referring to the court's founding text. Hearings at which the charges will be confirmed were set for January 31, 2013. Violence by the Salika and anti-Balaka in CAR is said by the ICC to have left thousands dead and hundreds of thousands displaced. Two former Central African warlords, Patrice Edouard Ngossona and Alfred Yakatom, who led anti-Balaka militias, are currently on trials at the ICC for war crimes and crimes against humanity. The trial of Makamat Saad Abdel Khani, an alleged Salika commander who accused of war crimes and crimes against humanity, will open in September. Salanjai reporting for VOD.
Gunmen attacked a police station with explosives in southeastern Nigeria on Sunday, a day after a similar attack in which 2 police officers were killed in the region, police said. The attacks in southeastern Imo State illustrate the latest violence in the violent region, where separatist unrest is on the rise. Armed men arrived with dynamite in the early hours of the day and attacked with part of the police station in Oru, but the assault was repulsed, said the spokesman of the police of the state, Michael Abatam. Among the attackers, 4 gunmen were neutralized and 5 improvised explosive devices were recovered, the spokesman added. He also reported another attack on Saturday in which gunmen attacked a police station in Omoguma outside Owerri, the state capital, with explosives killing 2 police officers. He said gunmen also invaded the residence of George Obiozo, the head of Ohanese, the Igbo Cultural Union, and destroyed part of the building with explosive. Obiozo was not at home at the time of the attack, he said. We're on the trail of the attackers with a view of bringing them to justice, he said. President Muhammad Buhari on Sunday condemned the attack while pleading to end the continued violence in the region. He expressed his sympathy to the police authorities for the loss of men and equipment, and to Professor Obiozo, whom he urged to maintain his commitment to peace and unity, Buhari's office said in a statement. Southeastern Nigeria, Africa's most populous country, is facing rising violence. More than 100 police and security forces have been killed by gunmen there since last year, according to local media reports. Authorities frequently accuse the Independent Movement for Indigenous Peoples of Biafra and its parliamentarian wing of being behind the violence in the region, a charge the group denies. IPOD's dream of reviving the deformed Republic of Biafra, whose declaration of independence led to a 30-month civil war between 1967 and 1970. More than 1 million people, mostly Igbo, died in the conflict, mostly from starvation and disease. Now let's look at the international news. A Chinese passenger plane with 132 people on board has crashed in a forested hillside in southern China. The China Eastern Airline Boeing 737-800 was flying from Kunming to Guangzhou when it plunged to earth in Guangxi province and caught fire. The number of casualties and reason for the crash are not yet known. Rescuers have seen no sign of survivors. Chinese airlines generally have a good safety record. The last major accident took place 12 years ago. The crash has caused shock in China, where President Xi Jinping has ordered an immediate investigation to determine the cause. China Eastern Airlines has grounded all its 735-800s. Flight tracking data suggested the plane lost height rapidly from its cruising altitude before plummeting to the ground. More than 600 emergency responders said it to be at the crash site. Firefighters reached the scene first and managed to extinguish a blaze in the hills caused by the crash. Footage taken by the local villagers and shared on Chinese social media and by state broadcasters showed fire and smoke from the crash, with plane debris on the ground. The country's last major flight accident was in August 2010 when a flight from Kabin crashed in northeast Yuchim, during funky weather, killing 42 people. Global oil prices jump again as EU considers Russia oil ban. Haddijatou Njie reports.
Crude oil prices have jumped more than $3 a barrel, with Brent crude climbing above $111 as the European Union nations consider joining the United States in a Russia oil embargo and after a weekend attack on Saudi oil facilities. Brent crude futures were up $3.40 on Monday, or 3.2%, at $111.33 a barrel by 9:58 GMT, adding to 1.2% rise last Friday. U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude futures rose $3.65 or 3.5% to $108.35, extending to 1.7% jump last Friday. Prices move higher before talks this weekend between EU government and US President Joe Biden in a series of summits that aim to harden the West's response to Moscow over invasions of Ukraine. EU government will consider whether to impose an oil embargo on Russia. On Monday morning, Ukraine's Deputy Prime Minister Iryna Vereshchuk said there was no chance that the country's forces will surrender in the besieged eastern port city of Mariupol. With little sign of the conflict easing, the focus returned to whether the market will be able to replace Russian barrels hit by sanctions. On Monday, Dutch Prime Minister Mark Rutte said the embargo was unrealistic as EU countries still largely depend on Russian oil and gas for their energy supply and cannot simply cut themselves off on short notice. Haddijatou Njie reporting for VOD.
The Biden administration has transferred a significant number of petrol anti-missile interceptors to Saudi Arabia, fulfilling an urgent request from the kingdom that has become a point of contention in relations between Washington and Riyadh, according to reports. Senior U.S. officials told reporters on Sunday that the weapons system were sent to Saudi Arabia in recent weeks, which the kingdom had been requesting since last year, to fend off missiles and drone attacks by Yemen's group. The Associated Press news agency and the Wall Street Journal reported. The officials did not give a number of how many petrol interceptors had been sent, but told the AP the decision was in line with President Joe Biden's promise that America will have the backs of our friends in the region. The move comes as the Biden administration has increasingly sought to convince Riyadh to pump more crude oil to help elevate soaring price by Russia's invasion of Ukraine. To date, Saudi officials have resisted the appeal, stressing their commitment to output cuts agreed by the OPEC Plus alliance of oil producers led by Riyadh and Moscow. That's all we have for you today until we come your way again. I am Glorious Haddijatou Njie on the VOD Weekly News Recap. Have a good evening and thanks for watching.